And most importantly, what I want the community to know is, no, we're not kicking you out. You know, you live today in a mobile home or in a manufactured home. Nobody is going to take you away from your home.
And I think that's what got a lot of people up in arms.
If there's a natural disaster, the same thing. You can replace and put another one in there because you're protected by a state law that enforces ours. And again, if this becomes an item that is adopted, that means it's like a domino effect. We have 2 ordinances that are coming in. One is where it changes the chart of the use, and the second one is for those legal non-conforming lots. We want to make sure that they're always protected today and tomorrow. You know, you and I may not be here in 50 years, right? So I want to make sure that they're always going to be protected. So by me cleaning up our ordinance and making sure that that state law is there, where it clearly states that they have the right, in the case of a natural disaster, that they can replace their mobile homes or manufactured homes anytime, no matter how many disasters we have, they can. And I just want it in writing so they have somewhere in our charter that they can reference.
So it's in the states, but it's not in ours.
Correct.
In the city of Odessa.
Correct. So right now it actually it contradicts itself. Because right now, if something were to happen to your mobile home, it says that you can do alterations and modifications up to 60% of its value. What is a 60% of the value?
Yeah.
Out west where the sun always beams bright, Midland skies keep the hustle in sight. BAM Consultants got the blueprint intact. For dreamers on the grind, they got your back. Championing dreams from the ground to supreme, providing that spark, igniting the team. Marketing flow strategies that glean. BAM in Midland, building your dream.
Bam! All right, we're here for a special segment of what you need to know for the City of Odessa. I have with me as guest Liz Shaunessy, the City of Odessa Director of Development.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited to be here.
Well, cool. Good. Excited to have you on because we got to let the people we got to tell them what they need to know.
Yes, exactly.
And so right now, there's a little bit of upheaval going on, controversy going on, and people are up in arms about something that was announced.
Correct.
But we're here to tell them that it's going to be okay, and here's what you need to know.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So tell it what's going on. What happened? What kicked this chain of events off, and where are we going?
So what happened is that some months ago, we were tasked to do some analysis in our districts. We have ordinances that we're working that they were designed since the 1950s. So it's been a while, right? And we have gone from that small town to more of an urban setting.
Right.
So what may have worked in the 50s
is not working today. Right.
So what does that mean? That meant that we have zonings that tells you what is called land use, what tells you what can be in that zoning. So we have 10 zonings that used to or still allows mobile homes to be placed. So you can have heavy industrial and you can have a mobile home. Those two should not be right next to each other.
Right.
Because there can be a lot of issues with it,
Sure.
like noise, contaminations, you name it, it can be there.
Yeah.
So we prefer to keep residential clustered, and then you start introducing the more density, which would be the mixed-use buildings. You see the apartments or you see high-rise buildings.
Yeah.
Those are usually your buffers, and they're more like with the residential and the like light commercial. So basically what we started to do was, let's identify where all of these zonings should not be anymore. The land use shouldn't be there anymore.
Okay.
We still have a designated zoning that is called mobile home, MH, and mobile home estates, MHE. So that's where you still could have a mobile home. It's dedicated for that, just like we have single family homes. It's the same category. It's just areas that is throughout our city that is more dedicated for specific zoning.
Gotcha.
And it usually has to do with the lot sizes. That's basically what determines
Okay.
what you're going to be.
How they're sliced up.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
So therefore, we then ended up, they told us move forward. So we moved forward and we sent out a notice to the residents that are going to be affected by this. And so, and I believe it was around 7,000 people that we had to notify. So it's a lot.
Significant,
It's a good amount.
For sure.
Our state requires us to notify with a certain language. So we did that. We notified it. And in this, it said pretty much, hey, you may want to pay attention to this proposed ordinance because they might be taking some of your rights as a property owner.
So they use strong language intentionally.
It's because we're trying to get your attention.
Right. Because even though it won't actually at the end of the day affect you, you need to know what's going on.
It might. So that's why it's intentional to be so strong with the language.
That makes sense. Because the other side of this is if y'all just said what you thought it was going to be, just kind of regular, and people don't pay attention, and then when something does happen, it's like, y'all never told us.
Correct.
Well, now...
Yes, and we want people to come
100%,
and voice their opinions.
Yeah.
So if you think this is going to hurt you in some way, we want to hear it. That's why we have this process. This is why it's a public hearing.
Yeah.
Because we want to hear from the community. Just because we're proposing something doesn't mean that it's going to take...
Right. It's a
proposal.
proposal. Right.
Correct.
I think that's something that's so important to internalize here and realize, right? That this is something being proposed.
Right.
Right. It's not like, the all-powerful dictator just said, this shall be this way, right?
Correct. And most importantly, what I want the community to know is, no, we're not kicking you out. You live today in a mobile home or in a manufactured home. Nobody is going to take you away from your home.
And I think that's what got a lot of people up in arms.
Correct.
Right?
And they had all right to feel that way.
Right. Because if that does happen, right, hey, what are we doing here? Right. But yeah, the city's not trying to kick anybody out of their homes. Okay, that's the bottom line.
And we're not, and if this passes, again, it's a proposal. If it passes, you still, even though you then would be considered legal nonconforming, that doesn't mean that you cannot replace it and put another mobile home or manufactured home there. You can. If there's a natural disaster, the same thing. You can replace and put another one in there because you're protected by a state law that enforces ours. And again, if this becomes an item that is adopted, that means it's like a domino effect. We have 2 ordinances that are coming in. One is where it changes the chart of the use. And the second one is for those legal nonconforming lots. We want to make sure that they're always protected today and tomorrow. You and I may not be here in 50 years. Right. So I want to make sure that they're always going to be protected. So by me cleaning up our ordinance and making sure that state law is there, where it clearly states that they have the right, in the case of a natural disaster, that they can replace their mobile homes or manufactured homes anytime, no matter how many disasters we have, they can. And I just want it in writing so they have somewhere in our charter that they can reference.
So it's in the states, but it's not in in the City of Odessa.
Correct. So right now it actually contradicts itself.
Right.
Because right now, if something were to happen to your mobile home, it says that you can do alterations and modifications up to 60% of its value. What is a 60% of the value? Yeah. And imagine if it was 50 years ago. That's the value of when it was built 50 years ago. So it wouldn't even translate to today. So that's even more of a mess.
Wow.
And so that's what we're trying to do is clean these things up. Making sure that our whatever new policy or new ordinance comes in, that we're making sure that the domino effect is also being cleaned up. So there's no misinterpretation down the road.
Yeah. And I feel that's probably a major problem. That's just not one that you found there. That's the only one.
Oh, I know there was a lot more that we wanted to get into, but we figured let's just do one and not complicate it.
Right. And I think that's smart because you're setting a precedent.
Yes.
Say, hey, look, guys, we're making things better here.
Yes.
Right. We're making it better, not just for us here today, the people that are the administrators who are working it, but future and easier for our citizens.
Right.
To make things like they should be, because I feel that, we had this back in the 50s, right? And then I think a big problem, and this is humans in general, but I think it's kind of pervasive here. Because it's always been done like that. So if it's not completely broken, shattered, why fix it? Just keep kicking the can down the road, right? Keep kicking it, right? Well, there's got to come a point to where we change that.
Right. And it's hard, because change is always scary.
For sure.
It's different, right? I think we have a great mayor and council and city managers that they understand.
Yeah.
They are very supportive and want to make sure that when we're doing something, we're being informative to our citizens. We may have not done the best job today with this one.
Right. But
we're learning, right? And we make mistakes. And so we really want what is best for the city and for our citizens.
Yeah.
We don't go out there doing something trying to hurt anybody. That's the last thing that we want to do, and especially as planners. That's our job. It's all about community. That's what we care about.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we cannot have more mobile homes come in. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
It's just how we introduce it now. It's going to be extending that use. So let's say you have I'm gonna just say a light commercial zoning, and then right next you have empty lots, and they decide that a developer decides, I want to make this into a mobile home district. Well, we can't. We just go to the zoning and you change it. Just how you would change it for light industrial, just how you would change the zoning for SF3, which is another type of housing, or planned development districts. That's how you would start doing everything. It's just that it's better organized.
Right. Because we have a system in process.
Yes, we're being strategic,
right.
What I like to say.
Right, because otherwise we're just like a bunch of rats building nests everywhere.
Right.
Nothing strategic, nothing's organized, nothing's ordered. Like, yeah, sure, build it. Oh, sure, build it. And then before you know it, you just have this big mess.
Yeah, and at first it might work,
Yeah.
It might be completely fine.
But 50 years down the road.
Yes, you'll eventually catches up, and that's when you start seeing that it's harder.
Yeah.
To make these changes again, because then we're introducing something that is different, something that is new, something that might make things a little bit difficult for some people. But basically what this ordinance would be doing, one, there's two phases, right? Okay. One would be we're changing from the 10 zonings, the land use, we're removing them from those and just leaving them into two, which is the MH and MHE. So you still have the mobile homes.
Okay.
All of those that are being removed from the districts that we're cleaning them up, you would be considered legal non-conforming. So you don't have any issues. You're always going to be able to have your mobile home or manufactured home. Okay. It's if you have an empty parcel, that's where, and there's nothing right now today, those are the properties that would be affected. Okay. Those would be the ones that you wouldn't be able to put a new mobile home or manufactured home in there. Okay. If it's empty right now, there's nothing in that parcel. Okay. Right, but if it's occupied, then you're good.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But we have to take this into consideration. There might be some people that have purchased something, right? With the idea of saying, I am going to put my mobile home here. Yeah. Well, we can start talking about those. How? Because I do believe that we should take those into consideration. Right? For sure, yeah. They were in process, they were in the thought. And so I have been trying to wrap my brain around that. How are we going to do this, right? And so there is, as any new law is always placed or put into play, you always have a grace period. Yeah. So we would have a grace period in where we would say, okay, I'm just going to throw a number, not saying that this is what's going to happen. 6 months. You know, we have 6 months to whoever wants to place a mobile home. This is your time.
This is the deadline,
right? Well, let's think about that. Not everybody might have the resources right now to be able to do that. Correct?
Right.
So I think if we can at least start with an application, into
get
the
everybody
system,
on record.
Get everybody on record for the ones that want to do it, and then those records stays attached to the parcel. So that's what I'm thinking. So therefore, because like I said, and then later on, as we start organizing our zonings a lot better and the classifications, we can start identifying if there's clusters, and then we can do what is called a rezone. So that area, we can give it what it's supposed to be, a mobile home district.
Yeah.
So then we can start doing all of that later on.
Gotcha.
So then they wouldn't have to worry about that anymore.
So in the long run, it could turn out better than it is now.
Correct.
And that's the goal. That's the whole goal.
Yes.
Like, you're coming on here and you're being open and transparent. And you're saying, hey, guys, A to Z, laying it out, right? Because it is hard when you're mandated to state something a certain way, right? Oh, you have to put this strong language in there, which makes sense once you have the conversation about it.
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay, I get it, right? They're not trying to kick me out, you know. They just want me to know, you know, this is coming up and we're going to have to address it at some point.
And like I said, we've learned from this. We should have done a lot more of outreach, probably doing this podcast a lot earlier, right? Start educating ahead of time, which we did. We already had a work session, but I don't think it hit everybody in the community.
So those are tough.
Yes.
Right? Because when citizens hear that, right, they're just thinking, oh, that's for city people.
Yes.
You know, like city people as in employees.
Right.
City people. Like, that has nothing to do with us. Why do we need to know anything about that? But you're right. You know, maybe getting ahead of it for sure. Come back on the podcast every time you have something. Maybe we start up a regular segment.
Yes.
What you need to know.
What you need to know, yes.
City of Odessa with Liz Shaunessy. Here we go.
Yes, I think we should, because there's a lot of topics that we can talk about.
Yes.
And that's our goal. That's what we're there for. We're there to help our citizens, not to slow development, not to make things difficult for them. We still have to comply with rules and regulations.
For sure.
A lot of them, what I tell people, they were created for a reason. Usually if it's on the book, it's because somebody died because of that, and that's why now we have a rule for that.
So people around here really resonate with that, right? Because that's the oil field, right? All the safety rules were written in blood.
Yes.
Right, because a death happened or crazy injuries happened.
Yes.
So we had to make rules to save lives.
Right.
So I think a lot of the area is safety minded, or they're definitely aware.
Right.
You can't tell by how they drive around, but we do live in a safety-first culture, especially when you know you're coming into a danger zone, a danger area.
Yes.
Right? For instance, you see all these work trucks, oil field work trucks. Guarantee every single one of them parks backwards.
Yes, they do. That's for a reason, correct.
Right? And everybody is trained to do that.
Yes.
When I first started out here way back in the day, and then I moved to Austin, I would always park backwards, right? And people would always ask, why do you always park backwards? I'm like, oh, it's a habit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is, we're aware of safety and the importance of safety.
Right.
So in that regard, I think it's important that everything is explained like you're doing right now, in transparency.
Yes. And that's what we want. We just want to be transparent and be able to help our community.
So is there anything else on the situation that you can talk about?
Well, that's basically it.
Okay.
But, it's up to council.
Gotcha. Okay, next steps. Yeah.
So next step would be May 1st, we're going to P&Z.
Which is?
So Planning and Zoning Board.
Okay.
So they're a recommending body to the council. So they're going to be the first body that's going to listen to anybody that wants to come and discuss this subject. Okay. And they will give their recommendations to City Council.
Okay.
And then at the end of May, I can't remember if it's Tuesday, May 27, I might have the date. It's going to be the first city council meeting.
Okay.
So yes, May 27th.
Okay. Okay.
When it goes to city council for them to have the first public hearing.
Hearing. Okay. But the first
The
is
first
just
one
planning and
is
zoning.
planning and zoning, and they will give a recommendation to city council.
Gotcha.
We have received a lot. We have received objection letters, and we've also received positive letters. You know,
Right.
you both.
Do you know what the ratio is there?
So it's in right now. We haven't gotten that many. We only had like 35.
Okay.
So from 7,000 plus that we sent,
Yeah.
not that many, but I do expect people usually show up with their letters or they come. They'll probably this week we'll probably start seeing a
Get more
lot.
and more. Yeah.
We're not even at 1%. But a lot of the objections, which was interesting to me, are not the people from the ones that we notice. It's the surrounding neighborhoods.
Okay.
So they still, we still document it, but the people so once we reach a 20% objection from the whole area notification, that means that city council needs to vote by a supermajority vote.
To override the.
So that means, they would have to pretty much unanimously be vote minus one person,
Right.
basically. It comes down to.
That's a super majority.
That's a super majority. Okay. And if they don't win, that's if you reach the 20% of objection letters.
Okay. Okay.
But so far we're not, and we're keeping track of everything to make sure that we're documenting everything correctly.
Yeah.
And it's very hard because even till the day of, people will come and give you the letters and everything.
So you got to throw that in the calculation.
Yes. Okay. And so we try to, it usually gives us time still to do that. And the good thing is that we have 2 readings because I can always update council on the second reading before they finalize it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So, okay. Well.
So technically people have 3 public hearings to come and speak on.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yes. So May 1st with the planning and zoning. Then we have May 27th with city council. And 2 weeks after that would be the second reading, which would, I believe, be June 9th.
Okay. Okay. So, and up until the 9th, anything, right?
Or June 10th. Sorry.
The 10th. So say that there's like 10% on the first 2, right? Well, on that third one, the last day, there could be a whole flood of people thrown over the 20.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. Okay. So
this is not over until the second reading.
The second reading.
The second reading.
And then what's the third?
The third, there's no third. So first reading, P&Z.
Okay.
Is
and
one.
Reading. Okay.
And then we go 2 readings with city council. Sorry. That's where it got confusing.
Okay.
So in total, there are 3 public hearings, but 1 is with the Board of Planning and Zoning.
Okay.
And 2 are with city council.
And the 2 with city council are the readings.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. So until reading, the third opportunity to come.
Yes. To
say your piece.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you cannot make it, you can email us. You can call us. You can drop off your letters, and even if you didn't receive something, if you want to, us to hear your voice, you can send it. All I need is your name, your address, and if you're for it or against it.
Okay. Is there like a place they go online to get the form, or?
No, because it was just sent to the people to the residents. But I do believe that everybody should have a voice, even if you're inside or not.
Right.
Because it helps our mayor and council decide.
Yeah. What do the people want?
What is their community, right?
Hey, we're in America, man. What do the people want, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, and I think that's where, as Americans, we know that instinctually, right? That's our thing, right? That's what sets us apart from the rest of the world, right? And we hold on to that.
Yes.
We should hold on to it a lot tighter, right? But the fact that I think that's what gets people riled up, snapped up so quick. Oh, what are you taking away from me?
Yes.
Right? Hey, hold on here, right? You trying to kick me out? Right? So I think people react.
Right.
Right. And it's natural, right? Completely understandable how that is. But I mean, kudos for you to coming out, getting it out, getting the word out. And if you next time, to get on here before, let me know.
I know.
You know,
We will next time.
we'll get the word out, make sure people understand. We'll help you out however we can. But we need to get on because of director of development.
Yeah.
Because you work with small businesses a lot, right?
Well, yes and no. So I have several divisions that I oversee. So one is planning and zoning, which this is where this falls into.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning kind of has two different categories, which is current planning, which is this. And then we have long range planning or strategic planning. And that's where you do start seeing the evolution and long growth of a city. So that's where I work with businesses, especially with downtown.
Yes.
Because we want to make sure that our downtown is our hub, right? It's where people go.
Yes.
It's where we're going to see the entertainment. And you're seeing it everywhere. Different, hubs throughout the city. But I like to say the downtowns are the heart of your city.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love when our council have that same vision that staff has, and they just want to do so much.
Yeah.
I think it's been, for me, it's been a challenge, because it always becomes an issue with resources, right?
It's always...
And money is always going to be another factor. But I think we have so many great entities, like especially downtown. We have the county, we have the hospitals, we have the college, we have the school districts. We can all come together and start transforming our downtown. And even as the businesses, let's get creative. Let's all work together. How do we make our downtown, the destination where everybody wants to be?
Right.
We don't have to start. We can start small. Micro markets.
Right.
Let's do micro markets.
Like First Fridays.
First Fridays, yes. Right. Randy did a great job with it.
Yeah. I'm going to be at my first one this coming Friday.
Yay.
Yeah. So I think, yes, that's very important that we start developing our downtown, or we continue down the path of developing downtown.
Right.
There's been a lot of development so far. And, I feel that that's in when there's been brakes put on it. We still got a lot done.
Yes.
Right. But I think now that, like you said, new mayor, he wants to develop town. I know that my conversations with some council members, they're excited about wanting to develop downtown. The library project coming up, that's going to be a huge game changer.
Right.
I'm looking at a project myself to develop a downtown spot. I think there's just so much potential there.
Right.
And people, have written off downtown because they're like, oh, well, there's nothing there, so why pay attention? Just is, people they don't want to invest their own. They're kind of held back from that until they see the potential.
Right.
Right. And I think now starting to see the potential. The Marriott put the spa, the Woodhouse Spa. That place is
Yes.
I just took a tour and I felt like I was transported to a total different country.
Yes.
Let alone out of Odessa. Just totally different experience. Super cool. If you haven't gone, check it out. Right next to it is Patrick Clay's Icon Tavern.
Yes.
Right?
It is great.
That's a super cool spot that, again, it's just different for downtown Odessa.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm really excited for a lot of the things that are happening and, hey, let's go, right? Let's develop downtown Odessa.
Yes.
It needs it.
It does.
Yeah. Well, cool. Do you have any, how can they contact you or the city, or where do they need to go?
So if you go to our website, our city website, you could go to the planning and zoning.
Okay.
And they can, all of our contact information is there. Or they can come to City Hall.
Okay.
And we're in the 3rd floor. Or they could call City Hall and they'll transfer them to us.
Okay. It's cool.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
You.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I hope this helps, and hopefully we'll do a lot more so we can keep on letting our community know what they need to know.
Let them know what they need to know. You heard it here. All right. Y'all have a good day.